We begin now at the top of Daf Pei Amud Aleph Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 80a. The Gemara here brings a brisa. Tana, we learned in a brisa, Shtei osios b'dio. Let's say you have 2 letters worth of ink as dry ink. Shtei osios b'kulmis, or you have 2 letters worth on the quill itself. Shtei osios b'kalmorin, or you have it in the inkwell. Rashi explains over here, Beis osios b'dio dio yavish, it's dry ink. Shtei osios b'kulmis, kolomar kol heicha demapik le shiuro k'shtei osios. The point is, it doesn't matter how you carry the ink, as long as you have 2 letters worth of ink and you carry it on Shabbos, you are chayiv for carrying on Shabbos. Kalmorin is kesses hasofer. Again, that's the inkwell of the scribe, as we explained. Boy Rava, so Rava asks the following question: Os achas b'dio, os achas b'kulmis, os achas b'kalmorin ma. What if you have 1 letter with ink as dry ink, 1 letter is on the quill, 1 letter is in the inkwell? What's the halacha? Teku. We will leave that as a question. Rashi explains over here. Os achas b'dio, os achas b'kulmis mi mitzdarfi olo. Can you join together the shiurim and say, well, I took out 1 letter's worth in this fashion, 1 letter's worth in that fashion? Is that mitzdarif? V'yamri tepikle mishum kulmis lo mechayev ala. Now, if you're going to say you should be chayev because you're carrying the quill itself, you're not chayev on the quill. Mishum shu tafel lepachas mikashir, because it's considered subservient to something that is less than the shear. The Tanan lekaman, because we learn later in the Mishnah, Hamotzi ochlin pachas mikashir bekli potter af al hakli b'mnesha kli tveilo. This is the same idea by food. If a person takes out food and it's less than the shear in a kli, the kli itself, which is tafel to the food, doesn't count, and therefore you're not chayev on that. Same thing as over here. Gemara continues. Amar Rava. Rava says, Hotzi shtei osios v'chosvan kashu mahalech chayev. Let's say a person carries 2 letters worth of ink and he writes them as he's walking. He's considered chayev. Ksivasan azui hanachasim, because writing the letters, that counts as a hanacha. Rashi here explains, kashu mahalech shelo amad lofash. He never rests. He never stops. That to have a hanachas gufo hanacha. If he would rest, then the stopping of his body would be a hanacha. But in this case, he doesn't do that. Nevertheless, he's chayev. The ikar hanachas diyo al haksavu, because the real hanacha of ink is that it should be written down, so that's considered a hanacha. V'yamar Rava, and Rava says, Hotzi os achas v'chosva, v'chazer v'hotzi os achas v'chosva pater. Let's say a person carries 1 letter and he writes it down, and then he carries another letter and he writes it down. He's pater. It's not mitzdarif. My time, what's the reason? Be'idna da'avka lebasraisa, because when he's taking out the later one, chaser le l'shir dekamaisa. Already the earlier one's shear is now missing and has become lacking. Rashi over here explains, v'chazer v'hotzi b'helam echad. He did this in 1 helim, so it all should be mitzdarif, but it's not, because chaser shir dekamaisa, the first shear, is now missing. Kishem when it dries, nechser hashir, it loses some of the amount. Well, gamra hotzah. Now, when the second hotzah is finished and you want to be mitzarif, you want to put them together, ein kan shir beis osios, you don't have the amount of 2 osios, and therefore the tziruf doesn't create a chiyuv in this case. Gemara continues. V'amar Rava. Rava says, Hotzi chatzi grogros achas v'yinicha. Let's say a person carries a half a grogros of food and he puts it down. V'chazer v'hotzi chatzi grogros achas v'yinicha. He does that again. He takes another half a grogros and he puts it down. Rishona nasa kamisha kolta kelev o shenisrafa. So the first one is considered like it's not a good hanacha. It's as if it went into the mouth, was captured by a dog, or it was burned up. Upater, and he's pater. So the Gemara says, V'amai, why should it be pater? Hamancha, he placed the first one down, then he placed the second half grogros down. Why should it be considered like a dog captured it, caught it, or like it was burned? So the Gemara says, Hachi Kamar, here's what we mean. V'im kadam v'higbia rishona kodem hanochas shniya. Let's say he went ahead and he lifted up the first one before he placed down the second one. Nazis rishona kamisha niklata oshenisrafa pater. Then it's as if it did not have a proper hanocha and he is pater. Rashi here explains, V'amai hamancha, didn't he put it down? V'kevon de behelam echad, since it was all in behelam echad, mitzdarif ilichagam rotzah. It should be mitzdarif. So the Gemara says, Kamisha kalta kelev. The Tanan lekaman, we learn later in the Mishnah, Hazorek v'kalta kelev pater. Halach is, if a person throws something and it's caught by a dog, he's pater. The lo have hanacha mikocho. That's not hanacha from his koach. V'hachanami here also, ki gamra hotzah, when he finishes the hotzah, but lo hanacha kamaisa, he's already nullified the first hanacha because he's already picked it up. They have a command less, it's like it doesn't count, and therefore you have no tzirif and you're not chayiv. Yomar Rava, and Rava says, Hotzi chatzi grogros v'hinicha v'chazer v'hotzi chatzi grogros v'havira derech oleh chayiv. Let's say a person carries a half a grogros, he puts it down, then he carries another half a grogros over that same area, he's chayiv. So the Gemara asks, V'amai, why? Halo nach. In this case, he didn't do a hanacha. He's just carrying it over the space without putting it down. So the Gemara answers, Kagon she'avira toch shlosha. He brought it within 3 tvachim of the ground. As long as it's that close to the ground, it's considered a hanacha. Gemara says, that even within 3 tvachim, according to the Rabbanon, you do need to place it down somewhere. It has to have some kind of hanacha. Gemara says, Lokasha, that's not difficult. Kan bezore, kan b'mavir. It depends if you're throwing it or you're carrying it. If you're throwing it, then you need to have some kind of hanacha. But in this case, where he's carrying it, he does not need to have any hanacha at all, according to the Rabbanon. Rashi explains the Rabbanon, according to the Rabbanon, de pligi lekaman b'hazorik. There's a machlokas later on in hazorik. V'leslu kluta kamisha huncha. The Rabbanon do not hold of kluta kamisha huncha. So the fact that it's within the reshus and it's traveling within the reshus doesn't make it automatically considered a hanacha. Afilu avra samach lakarka, and they say that even if it travels very close to the ground, lo mechayva chatanuach agavi mashu. It has to have some kind of hanacha on something. Makom kolshu, some area. V'lo and makom dal. You don't need the area to be 4 by 4 tvachim. Ho levasoch gimalu, since it's within 3 tvachim of the ground. Mikol makom hanacha kol dubeinu. You certainly need some kind of hanacha. So the Gemara says, Ma'avir, no, if you're carrying lo tzarech hanacha, d'hamancha biyado. If you're carrying it in your hand, you actually don't need that hanacha because it's in his hand. D'yado smucha lekarka, because his hand is near the ground. The Rabbanan only said it needs some kind of hanacha in a case of zorik. The Gemara now continues with a brayso. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a brayso, hotzi chatzi grogros v'chazor v'hotzi chatzi grogros behelam echad chayev. Let's say a person carried a half a grogros and then he carries another half a grogros in one helim, so he's chayev because it's mitzaref, as we've said many times. B'shtei helamas potter, and again, if it's in 2 helamas, it's potter. Rabbi Yossi says, behelam echad l'rishus echad chayev. Rabbi Yossi says that if it was in one forgetting to one rishus, he's chayev. However, l'shtei rishuyos, if it was 2 different rishuyos, potter, you cannot be mitzaref those two hotzos, since they went to 2 different rishuyos. Rashi over here says, l'shtei rishuyos u'shtei rishus haravim. We're talking about 2 rishus haravim. Ela sheyesh hefsek beineim. There's some kind of a separation between them. So the person carried from a rishus hayachid to one rishus haravim. Then he carried to another rishus haravim. There was some kind of a hefsek, some kind of a separation between the 2 rishuyos, the 2 rishus haravims. So then Rabbi Yossi in that case says, in that case you're potter. So the Gemara now qualifies. Amar Rabba says, Vushi yesh of chatos beineim, aval karmelis lo. Rabba says that when we're talking about a hefsek between the 2 rishuyos, that according to Rabbi Yossi or Potter, there has to be a real rishus hayachid in between the 2 rishus rabbis. What he calls a chi of chatos. A rishus hayachid is a chi of chatos, because if you carry from rishus hayachid to rishus rabbis, it's a chi of chatos. But if it's a karmelis, it's just a rishus rabbis midrabanan, so then that wouldn't be a proper hefsek. Abaye says, afilu karmelis, even a karmelis would be a hefsek. Aval pisla lo, but a pisla would not be a hefsek. We'll see Rashi about that. The Rava says afilu pisla, even a pisla would be considered a hefsek. V'az the Rava l'taime. Rava follows his own reasoning. The Amar Rava, because Rava says rishus Shabbos k'rishus gittin damya. We follow the rules by Shabbos when it comes to rishuyos, the same rules we follow by the halachos of gittin. We'll see Rashi on that as well. So Rashi says pisla eitz shochev l'rachvo shel rishus haravim. A pisla is a piece of wood, a board of wood that lies across the width of a rishus harabim. And it lies across the entire width. So he carries a half a grogros to one side of the Rishus Harabim, and then he carries another half a grogros from his house to another side of the Rishus Harabim, and again they're separated by this pisla, and he says Kirishus Gittin dummy. So Rava said that it's the same as the halachas of Gittin. Ulinyan Gittin pisla Rishus Lanavshehu. When it comes to the halachas of Gittin, a pisla is considered its own Rishus, Keda'amrin B'Hazorik, like it says in Hazorik in Meseches Gittin. Ahu Gavr D'Zarak Gita L'Devisu. There was a person who threw a get to his wife, Bechatzero, Igander Gita V'Nafal B'Pisla, the get fell in Pisla, V'uki Hasam Shehishal Allah Makam Bechatzero, the Gemara over there says, he lent her an area in his own Chatzer. Obviously, a person can't give a get to his wife in his own Chatzer, but here he gave her a Makam in the Chatzer. And the Gemara said, Chad Makam Mushliinchi, Trey Makamas Lo Mushliinchi. Gemara said, you'll give out one area, you're not going to give out 2 areas. And essentially, the Gemara was saying that the Pisla was considered its own Makam, so it was Trey Makamos. So you see that when it comes to the halachas of Gittin, the Pisla is considered an independent Makam. And the same is true, according to Rav, when it comes to Hilchas Shabbos, because Rosh Shabbos is Kirishus Gittin Damya. Gemara now continues at the 2 dots. Kechol kedei lichol ayin achas. A person's putting up eye makeup. It's for one eye. The Gemara says ayin achas halo kachli. Whoever is going to put up makeup on only one eye. Amar Ravuna says shekein tzenuos kochlas ayin achas. The modest women, they would actually put the makeup only on one eye because the other would be covered up by some kind of a scarf, by some kind of a head covering. Mesa, we asked the following question. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Kechol, when it comes to this eye makeup, imlu refu, if a person's putting the ointment on as a way of healing, kedei lichol ayin achas, then the amount is for one eye because the person's going to heal one eye if the eye is not well. Imla kashet, but if it's for the purpose of makeup, bebezeinayim, then it has to be on two eyes. So here you see the opposite of what we said, that the shear for makeup is two eyes. Nobody puts makeup on one eye. So the Gemara says, Tirgam Hillel Bered Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani. Hillel, the son of Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, says, Kitanya hi be'ironius. There we're talking about people who live in the village. Rashi explains over here. First of all, tzenuos, shaholchos, mutafos, people, women who are modest, they wrap themselves up. Vein megalos ela ein echad liros. They only reveal one eye in order to see v'kochloso, so they put makeup on that eye. Biranius benos kfarim, they live in the villages. Einan tzrichos tznias kolkach, they don't need to be so modest. She'ein schok v'kalas rosh matzei sham, there's not a lot of lightheartedness over there. Ve'amam muat, and there's very few people. Ve'einan mechasin peneiim v'kochlos beis eineiim. They don't cover their faces, they end up putting up makeup on both eyes, so in that particular situation, the shear does change. Gemara continues, Shaiva kedei litin al pi nekev cotton, if it's wax, in order to put it over to seal a small hole. Tana, we learned in a brisa kedei litin al pi nekev cotton shal yayin. We're talking about a small hole in a barrel of wine. The idea is that wine flows freely. Rashi here explains, shal yayin lemute shemenu dvash, yayin zav derech nekev cotton yoser mi shemenu dvash. Wine will flow from a small hole better than something thick like oil or honey, and therefore even a small hole is enough of a shear for the shaiva. Then it said, devek, what about when it comes to glue? What is the shear? Kedei litin barosh hashifshef, it's in order to put it on the top of the shifshef. The Gemara explains, Tana, we learned in a brisa, kedei litin barosh shifshef, shebarosh kana shel tzayad, and we're talking about a pole or a reed that was used by hunters. Rashi here explains, shifshef shebarosh kana shel tzayadin, moshiven neser katan barosh kana, they would take a reed, they would put a little board at the end of it, v'nosden olav devek, they would put some glue, and then the bird would sit on it, and he would get attached, he would get stuck. That's how they trapped him. They would need to put a lot of glue there. The shear is pretty big in order to trap the bird properly. Then the Mishnah said, Zephis v'gofers kedei lasos v'chulu. The Gemara says, Tana, we learned in a brayso, kedei lasos nekev katan, when it comes to pitch, again, it's talking about a small hole that you're trying to seal up. Charoses kedei lasos pikor v'chula, when it comes to ground brick, it's enough to make the mouth of a bellows, and Rabbi Yehuda went on to say that it was enough to make a tripod. Rabbi Yehuda seems to have the larger shear, so the Gemara asks, Lamemra de shira de Rabbi Yehuda nafish, does the Mishnah mean to say that Rabbi Yehuda's shear is larger, that he's the more lenient opinion? Ha-kaimal de shira de Rabbanan nafish, the Mishnah seems to imply in a different place that the shear of the Rabbanan is larger, that they're more lenient. The Tanan, because we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer kedei litol heimenu midas mino lekatan. It said over there that the shear for a reed was in order to measure the shoe for a cotton, for a minor. The Rabbanan over there said it was in order to hang a sieve. So the Gemara says, Eimu kadei lasud pitput kira katana. So the Gemara says, no, when Rabbi Yehuda said the tripod, in order to plaster the tripod, it was talking about a small oven, a tripod for a small kira, and that already is a smaller shear, so in fact, the Rabbanan's shear is always larger, they are more lenient. The Amud concludes with the parentheses here, just quoting the Mishnah. Many people take this out, but Subin, the Mishnah said, when you have bran, kedei litan al pikor shel tzorfei zav, the shear is the amount to put on the bellows pipe of those who fashion gold. That is the end of Daf Pei Amud Aleph. We'll continue with the next video on Daf Pei Amud Beis.